Good morning, class. You just had your exam, and this lecture will be posted, and it is part of April 22nd and part of April 27th. So that is the way I had it on the lecture sheet there. 13.2. We could spend a week on factoring trinomials. It's that important. So our book has it just one section, but it really is one of the most important things we learn in math. You're going to do it here. You're going to do a large amount in Math 1100 as well. So there's more than one way to factor trinomials. This book has one method, and it turns out to be exactly the method that I use. So we know that a trinomial has three terms, and we have x squared plus 6x plus 5. So we're looking at trinomials right now that have a lead coefficient of 1, which makes it much easier. And then we're going to look at 5. And 5, we're going to list all the factors. So I'm going to start off by just using prime numbers. My factors are 1 and 5. If a trinomial factors, it has to, whoops, you can't see a thing I'm saying here. Okay, that's the problem with this, is that, hold on, I'm going to turn this monitor towards me as well. Is that if a trinomial is going to factor, it is always into two binomials. No other choice, two binomials. So 1 is prime, it will factor into only x and x. And the factors of 5 are 1 and 5. Okay? So now our job is to determine the signs. So remember, we could have plus or minus here, we could have plus or minus here. We have clues. This is positive. In order to get a positive product, the only way is like signs. So both the signs are like, or I better not confuse you. Both the signs are like, or both the signs positive, or they're both negative. So now we have two choices. We now look at the middle sign. We see that it is positive, so that tells me I have to choose both positives here. So let me do a check. X plus 1 times the quantity x plus 5. I'm going to use FOIL, and I'm going to have x squared. The outside is 5x. We need a sign. The inside is x, and the product is 5. So 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 5. Or I think that you have become fairly proficient at this, is that if you don't want to write out FOIL, just say x squared and then check your scoops. 1x, that's the inside. 5x is the outside. 5 plus 1 is 6. And then 1 plus 5 is 5. So you need to do it one way and always do it exactly the same way. I do a lot of checking scoops as well. So let's look. Let's say that this had been y squared minus 6y plus 5. So we have a 1 here. This is still 1 and 5. So it's going to factor into two binomials. Y only factors into y and y. 5 is prime, 1 and 5. But now this tells me the signs are like. So then I look at the middle sign, and that tells me I have two negatives. Let's do a check. Minus y minus 5y gives me minus 6y. And it does check. So I'm going to just go very slowly because factoring trinomials is so important. Let's look at this. Let's look at a squared plus 4a minus 5. Okay, see, I'm choosing the number 5 here. So it's going to factor into two binomials. I know it's a and a, and I have 1 and 5. So now this one looks a little different. Here I have a minus sign. So the only way I can get a negative product is opposite signs. Okay? One's a plus, one's a minus. So, or you could say to yourself, that tells me I need a difference of two numbers. So we say 5 minus 1 is 4. I need to know which one to make positive and which one to make negative. So I look at the middle sign, it's positive. That tells me the larger number is positive. And I put a plus here and a minus here. Let's check our scoops. 5a minus a is positive 4a. So absolutely check your scoops to see if you did it correctly. So likewise, if we had b squared minus 4b minus 5, we have the same thing going, 1 and 5. Oh, this is the craziest thing here. I need to change this somehow. Okay. So I know that I have two scoops. I'm going to have B and B. And I'm going to have 1 and 5. That's my only choice, is 1 and 5. Okay? So I look here. This tells me opposite signs. If they're opposite, I'm looking for a difference of minus 4. So this tells me the larger number is negative. So I'll make the 5 negative and the 1 positive. Check your scoops. 1b minus 5b is negative 4b. And that's exactly what I wanted. Okay? So now let's go forward. Let's say that we have x squared plus 8x plus 7. Two scoops. 7 factors into 1 and 7. My signs are like. X squared is x and x. 1 and 7, I have no choice if my constant is prime. They're like. I look here, it tells me what I want. I want 2 pluses. Check your scoops. 1x plus 7x is 8x. We're all set. Okay? Z squared minus 12z plus 11. 11 is prime, 1 and 11. Z squared is z and z, 1 and 11. This tells me my signs are like. If they're like, we need a sum equal to 12. 1 plus 11 is 12. Well, what sign do I need? I need negative sign. So minus and minus, I have minus z minus 11z gives me a negative 12z. Look at t squared minus 12t minus 13. T and t, 13 is prime, so I have 1 and 13. I look here, my signs are unlike. That means I need a difference equal to negative 12. So I only have one, I have 1 and 13, I already put that in. So I want the middle sign negative. That means the larger number is negative and that one is positive. Check your scoops. 1t minus 13t gives me negative 12t. Okay, so all my examples, 5, 7, 11, and 13, were all prime numbers. Okay, so that makes it very easy, because if they're all prime, we only have one choice. We don't have anything to pick from here. So we know that's not real life. So let's look at some other options. Let's look at b squared plus 5b plus 6. So I'm choosing a number now that is not prime. And my factors are 1 and 6, 2 and 3. So I'm going to have two scoops, B and B. I look at this sign, my signs are like, so I need a sum equal to 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. So I have 2 and 3. Okay, do I want them both plus or both minus? I look here. It tells me I want them both positive. Let me check my scoops. 2b and 3b. I get a sum of 5, and that agrees with my middle quantity there, my middle number there. Let's say that we have x squared minus 7x plus 6, two scoops, x and x. 6 is 1 and 6, 2 and 3. So I look, and this tells me my signs are alike. So in order to have like signs, I need a sum equal to minus 7. So 1 plus 6 is 7. I'm going to put a 1 in and a 6 in here. I look at my middle sign. It tells me I want negative signs, minus and minus. Check my scoops. Minus x minus 6x gives me minus 7x. Okay? So most of our numbers are composite. They're not prime numbers. So we need to know how to relate to them. The author, I've always done it this way, where it's very simple. I write my factors out there. But your author does it in a manner, just a little of organization. I think that you don't need that, but it explains a lot. So you want to look at the box, and his example was y squared plus 12y plus 20. And in his box he has factors and the sum of factors. Okay, so we're looking at 20. So factors would be 20 and 1. I always go up. I go 1 up like that. So it would be 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. And it would look like that. So I want the sum is 21, 12, and 9. This box helps us generate this. This is exactly what I've been telling you, only I don't design it that way. So now we have y and y. I need a sum of 12, so that tells me 2 and 10. And they're both positive. Check your scoops. 2y and 10y gives me 12y. Okay? So once again, writing them up like this does the same thing. This kind of gives you the sum and the factors all together, which is kind of nice too. So just using these same numbers, let's look at this. Let's say we have z squared minus 9z plus 20. So I have two scoops, z and z. I want a middle term of 9, so I need 4 and 5. And I want it to be negative, so it has to be minus 4 and minus 5. Check your scoops. Minus 4z minus 5z gives me negative 9z. Okay? Looking on page 921, you can't do too many factoring problems. That's how important it is. Looking on page 921, let's look at 2b. And we have x squared plus 9x plus 18. So I'll do one more of the box. So if we do the box, the factors of 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Okay? The sum is 19, 11, and 9. Maybe that's easier for you. So we have an x and an x. We want a 9, so we're going to use 3 and 6. And I have checked my scoops. 3x and 6x gives me 9x. I see my sign. This is a sum, so that meant like signs. They had to be like to get a sum. So I need a positive sign. I want all positive there. Number 3a, t squared minus 12t plus 32. So maybe you like that. Now, looks like this. This is the sum. I would go 1 and 32, 2 and 16, 4 and 8. And that is it. So I would have 33, 18, and 12. I need a 12. Okay? So 2 scoops. And we're going to go with 4 and 8. I look at the sign. The sign says they both have to be negative. Minus 4t minus 8t is negative 12t. Okay? So actually the box, I see a very positive thing going with that. B. y squared minus 10y plus 24. 2 scoops, y and y. My box is going to equal 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. I need a sum. The reason I'm looking for a sum is because all of these have a positive last term. Remember, if it's positive, the signs are like. If they're like, then it's a sum. So this would give me 25, 14, 11, and 10. I need 10. So I'm going to have 4 and 6. Should I use plus or minus? So I look here, that tells me I need to use minus signs. Check my scoops. Minus 4y minus 6y is negative 10y. And it looks like that. So now let's look at the situation if this is negative, everybody. If it's negative. A little different ball game. 4b x squared plus x minus 42. So 1 and 42, 2 and 21, 3 and 14, and 6 and 7. So the 3 and 14 may not jump out at you, but you want to go in numerical order, and you want to say, well, I better check 3, and it went in 14 times. I better check 4. No, that doesn't work. Of course, we know 5 doesn't work. So 43, 23, 17, and 13. Oh, this is a sum. Do I want a sum? No. Why? Because this is negative. We want a difference. So who cares? We don't need the sum. We need the difference. So we have 1 and 42, 2 and 21, 3 and 14, 6 and 7. We're looking at the difference. 42 minus 1 is 41. 21 minus 2. 14 minus 3. 7 minus 6 is 1. So we look up here, we see that we want a 1. So we're looking for 6 and 7. X squared plus x minus 42. 2 scoops. X and x, I need 6 and 7. And I know this tells me that the signs are unlike. So one's positive, one's negative. I look, I want the middle term to be positive 1. So the larger number has to be positive. And I'll make 7 positive and 6 negative. Check my scoops. 7 minus 6 is 1x, and that agrees with that. Remember, checking the scoops doesn't check to see if the product was right, that you factored correctly, but it checks the middle sign for sure. Number 5, a squared minus 9a minus 22. So let's look. 22 is 1 and 22, 2 and 11. Nothing else goes into that. So over here, do I want a sum? Well, this is not positive, so I need a difference. This tells me opposite signs. Opposite signs is a difference. 22 minus 1 is 21. 11 minus 2 is 9. This is what I need. A squared is A and A. My factors are 2 and 11. So I need to know, I see that this says opposite signs. So if I make the 11 plus and the 2 negative, I'm going to have 11a minus 2a is going to give me 9a. Is that what I'm looking for? No. I have to have the 2 positive and the 11 negative. This was my clue. I needed the larger number negative. So I'm going to have a minus 11a plus 2a is going to give me minus 9a. So now that is correct. Okay? We have lots of checks and balances on our system here. So don't hesitate in using them. B, r squared minus 6r minus 16. So, I would just put it up here. 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. But making this box, I see it has advantages. 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. Since this is negative, we want a difference. 16 minus 1 is 15. 8 minus 2 is 6. 4 minus 4 is 0. So I'm going to have 2 scoops like that. I'm going to have R and R. I need a 6. Okay, that's going to be 2 and 8. So now this tells me my signs are opposite, plus and a minus. I need to see how to apply these signs. So the middle sign is negative. That tells me the larger number is negative. So I'll make the 8 negative and the 2 is positive. Check my scoops. I have 2r minus 8r is negative 6r. Okay? So this has been very, very thorough, but it's the way we start out learning how to factor, and then we'll build from this. But the explanation doesn't have to be as great. All of our problems had a lead coefficient of 1. A lead coefficient of 1. Note 6a and 6c. So looking at 6a, we have 6x squared plus 5x plus 8. Let's look. 8 is 1 and 8, 2 and 4. That's all it is. The signs are like, so I need a sum. That'd be 9 and 6. Well, I want a 5, and I only got a 9 or a 6. That doesn't make sense. I need a 5. But I can't generate a 5. It's impossible. Impossible. I can only generate a 9 and a 6. Okay? So when that happens, that tells me that this trinomial is prime. That means no factors. No factors. Okay? And then look at C. C is m squared minus 2m plus 5. My box is 1 and 5. It's a prime number. It's a prime number. So 1 plus 5 is 6. There's no way I can get a minus 2. No way. So this is prime. Okay? You're not used to having a situation where you can't actually do the problem. Okay? Looking on page 926, remember what I said, you can't do too many trinomials. For one thing, you're going to see patterns. You'll see patterns happen. So maybe we should start on page 925 and just do one or two of those. And let's look at number 14. X squared plus 10x plus 21. The author gives us x plus 7, and we have to determine what this is here. So we know that 21 factors into 1 and 21, 3 and 7. Since he gave us the 7, I have to use that. X plus 3. Check my scoops. 7x and 3x, I get 10. I'm A-OK on that. And then number 20, t squared minus t minus 42. We're given t plus 6. And you don't really have to make this box. You could just divide 6 into 42, and you could see that it's 7. So we know it has to be a 7 there. We just have to determine the sign. Okay? So this tells me that the signs are unlike. We're looking for a difference equal to minus 1. So I have 6 and 7. I want the middle term to be negative, so the larger number is negative. And that's a good warm-up, but remember what I said, in real life, we're not going to be given that big hint like that. Okay? Let's look now. We are on page 926. And we're looking at number 26. So you choose if you want to make the box or if you don't need the box. So if you don't need the box, you're going to go 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. You're going to say the signs are like, so I need a sum equal to 9. Scoop, scoop. A and A, the sum that equals 9 is 4 and 5. Are they both plus or both minus? We look here, that gives me a clue, they're both positive. Check your scoops, 4A and 5A, I get 9A. That is correct there. Looking at 32, d squared plus 4d minus 45. Okay? So go in numerical order. 1 and 45, 2 does not go. 3 will go. 3 into 45 goes 15 times. 4 doesn't go. 5 goes 9 times. 9 times 5 is 45. Okay? So we're looking at 2 scoops, D and D. I want a difference equal to 4. So 9 and 5 will do the trick. 9 and 5 will do the trick. And we need to know the signs. I look at the middle. This tells me the greater number is positive. So I'll make the 9 positive and the 5 negative. And now we'll get minus 5D plus 9D gives me 4D. Okay? So, and also if you prefer the box, of course, I needed a difference equal to 4 because that was negative. X squared minus 13x plus 36. Okay, so we have quite a few for 36. We have 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. You want to go in a logical order, otherwise you're going to forget one of them. So make sure that you go in some order. We have 2 scoops. My x squared is x and x. My signs are like, so I need a sum equal to a minus 13. 6 plus 6 is 12. 9 plus 4 is 13. It looks like that. So now I need a minus sign. This gives me a hint. So I need both negatives. Check your scoops. Minus 4x minus 9x gives me negative 13x. Okay? It makes no difference if I write x minus 4, x minus 9, or if I write x minus 9, x minus 4. Okay? 42. M squared minus 10m minus 24. So, you know, numbers repeat themselves. We use 36 a lot. We use 24 a lot. We use 12, 18. We use a lot of different numbers. But I'm not going to be hitting you with large numbers like 127 or anything like that. So 24 is 1 and 24. It is 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. So we have M and M. This tells me we want a difference equal to minus 10. 24 minus 1 is 23. 12 minus 2 is 10. So my numbers are 12 and 2. I look to see how to sign them. My middle term is negative, so the larger one is negative. The smaller one is positive. Check your scoops. 2m minus 12m. We get negative 10m. Okay? We're going over a lot. If you're not getting this with all my explanation, well, you should be able to. I'm going very slowly because of the importance of factoring and all of you going on. I hope that those of you that are going to take Math 1100 can take it in either the summer, we'll take it in the spring, summer, the 15-week session, so that all of this material is pretty current for you. So 8 is 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. And this one's a little different because we have two variables. We have a P and a Q. So this is my P and my P. This tells me the signs are like, so I need a sum equal to 9. So I see that 1 plus 8 is 9. So I'm going to have 1Q and I'm going to have 8Q because those are Q's. And now I need to know, are they both plus or minus? So I look in the middle and this tells me both positive. Both positive. Okay. Looking at 56. Now, all the ones that we're concentrating on, the lead coefficient is 1. Okay? That, of course, makes factoring much, much easier. Later on in your next classes, you'll change that to the number 2, 3, 5. But right now, you need to be proficient when it is the number 1. Looking at 56, we have 5y squared minus 5y minus 30. So the first thing we should ask ourselves is this, because this lead coefficient isn't a 1. Do I have a GCF? Is there a GCF present? So we have a 5, and 5 goes into 30. So step 1 is to factor out my greatest common factor. 5 into 30 goes 6. Good job. So now we have 5 and we have 2 scoops, everybody. I'm covering this up. Y squared factors into y and y. And 6 is 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. Okay? So I look here. I need a difference of negative 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. So I have a 2 and a 3. I need to know which one is positive, which one is negative. So I look at the middle one. It says the bigger number is negative. So I'll make that negative and that positive. And I get 2y minus 3y is minus 5y. Wait a second. What am I doing here? I have minus 3y plus 2y is minus 1y, which is what I want. I'm looking up here. We can't use 5. It's minus 1y. Okay, that's what we have here is 1y. So 3 minus 2 is minus 1. Well, it's actually 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Okay? So we had to factor out the GCF first. Okay? That's a big thing to remember. It's very easy for us to overlook that little piece there and not factor it out. But if your numbers look big, if the lead coefficient isn't 1, that will be your clue that we have to factor out a GCF. So looking at number 60 is minus 4y to the 5 minus 12y to the 4 plus 40y cubed. Okay? So we can't handle y to the 5th. We can't handle a negative 4 lead coefficient. So I'm looking for that GCF. Okay, 4 goes into 12 and 4 goes into 40. So I can factor out positive 4 or negative 4. If the lead coefficient is negative, we're going to factor out a negative 4. Okay? And then I have y cubed, 4, and 5. You're going to factor out the lowest exponent appearing. So if you're having trouble dividing, it's very easy. Go off to the side. Remember, factoring is a division process, and this will give you y squared. We have minus 12y to the 4 over minus 4y cubed. We get a positive 3y. And then we have 40y cubed over minus 4y cubed, and we get minus 10. So now we have something that we recognize. We see that we can factor this trinomial right here. Okay? So here we go. Cover that up. We're going to have 2 scoops. 10 is equal to 1 and 10, 2 and 5. This sign here says that we have they're unlike, and that we're looking for a difference equal to 3. So 10 minus 1 is 9, 5 minus 2 is 3. We need 5 and 2. We need y and y. So this is an important part. Which one is positive, which one is negative? So I want the middle term positive. The larger number is positive. So the 5 is positive and the 2 is negative. Minus 2y plus 5y is positive 3y, which is what I have here. Okay? So completely factored. Remember what that was now? That was a lecture that was supposed to be half on April 25th and half on April 27th. It made most sense for me to put it on one video. So the video will read April 25. Okay? It will read that day. But on my lecture schedule, I was doing half on each day. So signing out now. Hope everyone is carrying on. Hope you're doing puzzles and playing other games and taking care of yourself. Or maybe by the time the end of April comes, we are on the mend here. I hope so. So I will sign out, and you take care. Bye now.